Being too familiar with the familiar could cause you to forfeit a future you never realized you could have. There was a man in the Gospel of John chapter 5 by a pool on a mat. Jesus walked by and introduced a whole new reality. He never realized that he could be made well in any different way than what he knew, what he was familiar with. As a matter of fact, Jesus said, "Do you want to be made well?" Which was really a redundant question because the man wouldn't have went to the pool of healing, a place of mercy and grace, Bethesda, if he wouldn't have wanted to be made well. But nonetheless, Jesus introduces the question, do you want to be made well? Instead of the man just simply saying yes, he begins a dialogue of the familiar. Well, when the angel of the Lord comes down, stirs the water, those step in before me, I can't be made well, and no one will help me in the water. Jesus acts like the man didn't say anything and says, do you want to be made well? Take up your mat and walk. Take up what is hindering you and conquer that. It was an act of faith. What faith does is faith introduces something new. Faith introduces something that is of a risk, something that is maybe not familiar. Don't be so familiar with the familiar that you forfeit a reality that you never even knew you could have. The man by the mat never knew that he could have the reality of picking up the mat and carrying what had conquered him for so long. But Jesus introduced that new reality. And by faith, the man picked up the mat and he walked away from the pool that day. He walked away from what was familiar. Familiarity is a wonderful thing. It is a odd and unique thing because it brings us comfort because it's just that, it's familiar. But I want to say to you today, don't forfeit a future you never realized you could have because you're too familiar.